What is stitch welding? So let's start with what the chassis is. Your chassis is basically a bunch of custom formed sheet metal that's layered onto itself and welded together. Well, Mazda, for economical reasons and whatever else, welded them every so many inches or millimeters. If we increase that rigidity between that bond, or between those two pieces rather, then that is going to increase the rigidity of the stiffness of the chassis as a whole. There are some specific places where most of the load comes into the chassis and where it can make a bigger difference. You want a stiff chassis because in stock form, and even after stitch welding, but to a lesser degree, the chassis is going to be a little bit of a spring. In a perfect world, we would want a solid piece of metal that has no deflection in it whatsoever, so that the suspension is what moves as you go down the road. Realistically, the chassis is going to deflect when you hit a bump, when you go around a corner, that kind of thing. So the less the chassis deflects, the better, just kind of from a general overall standpoint. Now, the good news with stitch welding is that it is actually quite inexpensive to do if you're doing your own labor. If you're not doing your own labor, it is quite expensive because it is a pretty involved job. This is my personal car. I did this a long time ago, and it really made a substantial seat of the pants difference. It really made it feel much, much better. So it is definitely something that I recommend pretty strongly, with the giant qualifier of you have to have the skills and the ability to do it.